Hi guys, it's Bede again. I haven't been posting in a while, but I'm going to try and get back to it now. I'm not planning to upload on a schedule, but I will aim to post fairly often. I don't like setting solid goals for uploading because I'll overwork myself and get really stressed trying to meet deadlines. And if I miss a deadline, I'll feel like a horrible failure and give up. So we're just going to jump back into this and see how it goes. Sorry if this video was super long. I have a lot to say. It's been almost a year since my last upload. As you can see on screen right now, I've added these little pictures of my persona that are going to be like for the intros, sometimes the outros in my videos. Maybe I'll even like pop them up in the middle if I have like a thing I want to react to with a little animated character. She's not animated, she's animatic, I guess. I just think they're more interesting than a face cam and fit my channel better since I'm an art channel. I'm probably only going to make a few for this video, and I'll add more as I need them in future videos. Hopefully you like them. I think they're pretty cute. So anyway, let's get into the art. First of all, I'd like to apologize for the fact that I decided to record in the wrong aspect ratio because it was my first time recording a digital piece, and I find it more comfortable and natural to use my drawing tab in portrait. And I guess because I generally draw in portrait on paper as well. I'm recording the audio before editing the artwork recording. So I don't know whether I'm gonna like just put it in landscape and have the video be sideways because I turn and zoom so much that it might look passable anyway. Or I might keep it in portrait and just give it one of those backgrounds where the video footage is bit bigger and blurred or something. Whatever I do, at least I've learned that I need to rotate the tab next time if I want to record for YouTube. I'm going to spend the first part of this video talking about the art side of things, but if you just want to hear my opinions on Sword and Shield, I'll put a time on screen now for you to skip to that part. I've been experimenting a lot with my art, and recently I've been giving digital art a go. I've been using a Samsung Galaxy S6 Lite, I believe. I'm not 100% sure if that was the exact right version of the tab, but it's a drawing tab. It comes with a pen and it's got pressure sensitivity and all that stuff. It's not like a super expensive like a Wacom or a Huion or anything. It's about £300, so it's a more affordable starting tab because I wasn't sure if I was going to stick with digital art and I didn't really have £1,000, £2,000 to throw away on something I wasn't sure about. Even spending like 300 was a bit of a big jump, but you know, I wanted to give digital art a go. The app I'm using is Artflow. It is free, but to unlock all of it, you either have to watch an ad every so often or pay like £4. I just paid to get the full version of it because it's not that expensive. I don't know if I'll stick with this one. It's a good starting one, but if I want to get a bit more ambitious, I might want to pick a better program, maybe. It's definitely got everything I need for now. My main issues are things like I can't seem to figure out how to name layers, and there doesn't seem to be a way to delete your old files once you're done with them. Like if I make a file and I'm like, I don't need this file anymore, I have no idea how to delete them. I'd like to point out that I made a script for this video. I don't do scripts, I usually do notes and then turn it into stuff. And even though I've scripted the exact words I want to say, I am already not following the script. So this video is about to become a train wreck. Anyway, I'm really torn about digital art. I feel like it has like a weird stigma because everyone does digital these days. And like in my head, I'm thinking like it's not a real art because it's too easy, which is stupid because it's totally a valid art form and it's not easy. It's just maybe more convenient. It still takes talent to do digital art though. You can't just magically do it. You've still gotta have talent. I'd say it's harder to control digital art because the screen is so slippery. But you do have the advantage of being able to undo and redo very easily. I don't even think anyone else feels the way that I do in my head about digital art. Like I don't feel like anyone sat there judging me and thinking, wow, you're not a real artist anymore because you're doing digital art. That's so dumb. It's, why am I this way? It's not even like since I've been posting my digital art on my socials, it's not like anyone has made any negative comment at all suggesting that my digital art isn't real art or anything. I'm literally just bullying myself and invalidating my own art, even though I actually think my digital is already far better than my traditional art. And I've only been doing digital for 2 months. Maybe a bit longer by the time this video is out. The picture I'm drawing in this video, I think I did about a month into my digital art, so it's not even close to what I'm doing now, which is kind of weird, but I already drew it and recorded it and we're making a video, so let's go. I originally planned to go digital just for like color testing, simple comics, maybe like cute doodles that I didn't want to spend hours turning into a super detailed shaded picture, but I did want to do in color so they were more than just a sketch. But I really started to feel like digital is overall a better medium for me. I'm the kind of artist who makes a lot of mistakes that would very easily ruin a traditional piece. So I'm way less willing to experiment with traditional art because I don't want to spend hours on a picture and then ruin it with one dumb move. I think that's why I picked up on and got good at digital art so fast. Because if I want to try something new, I can just duplicate my layer or make a new one, and if it turns out bad, I'll just delete the layer or spam the undo button. I'll probably get into this more in my future videos, but I think I might actually want to go digital with traditional more on the side. I love traditional, but I don't think it has the same freedom as digital. Another reason to go more digital is just how easy it is to pick up and put down at any time. As well as my new drawing tab, I also recently bought a nice big set of 72 Copic markers. And I really love Copics. I'm still new to them, but they feel and look really nice, and are definitely going to be my preferred medium for traditional art once I get used to them a bit more. But here's the thing. I bought the tab and the Copics at pretty much the same time, and I have done a grand total of 2 pictures with my Copics. Meanwhile, I've completely lost count of the amount of digital art I've done, and that's because it's so much easier to roll over and grab a tab and pen from my bedside cabinet than it is to get up and sit at my desk with a million different art materials around me and the constant worry of wasting all the time and effort I put into a piece because I ruin it because I make a mistake. As someone with depression and a huge lack of motivation, I have been extremely productive with digital art over the past couple months, and I think it's been really good for me. I'm not sure for my YouTube channel whether I'll sway more towards digital or traditional. Personally, I think the traditional time-lapses are more interesting to watch, and either way I'll be doing art challenges that require me to not be digital. Like things like the hot chocolate challenge I did in the past. I can't do that digitally, so there's always going to be traditional on my channel. But say I wanted to do a video with something like Pokemon fusions. Would that be better to watch if it was digital or traditional? Or does it not matter because you're more interested in the finished art and just putting my videos on in the background to listen to me ramble while you make your own art? Let me know what you think about that. I'd be inclined to say digital would generally be better so I can do stuff like easily change the colors for shiny forms and stuff like that, but I'd be interested to know what people prefer to say. One issue with digital that hopefully won't happen again since I'm more aware of it now is that when I use the recording feature, I have to stop and save the recording before I close the app. If I just close it with the recording running, it'll just disappear, even if the artwork itself was saved. This was a problem in this recording because at one point, I think when I started the shading, I triggered a little glitch in the app and the only way to fix it is to close and reopen it. It saved my work but not my recording, so a little piece is missing from this one. I don't think that would be much of a problem in the future though. Another point that I don't really know if it favors digital or traditional is that I want to start streaming my art again. I used to stream just like random sketches and just whatever I was working on at the time. But I actually want to stream some of like my art challenges and stuff so that it'll be streamed and then I'll edit it into a YouTube video. Currently, when I do manage to stream, I aim to stream twice a week on Twitch. I haven't been streaming a lot lately because I've not been sleeping well and our internet has been really bad. At the moment it's just shiny hunting and other stuff on my Switch, but I have figured out a setup now so I can record my artwork on a webcam for Twitch and on my camcorder to get a bit of a higher quality version for YouTube. I could possibly also do digital art streams, but I have no idea if that would even work. I assume there's a way I can just connect my drawing tab to the PC and have it stream it directly, but who knows? I thought it would be that simple with my camcorder, but apparently it's completely impossible to stream from my camcorder, which is why I have to use a webcam for art streams. Anyway, as you would have seen at the start of the time-lapse, for this picture I decided to do the sketch traditionally. I have done some doodles and stuff entirely digitally from start to finish, but I generally do still prefer sketching traditionally. What I did do though was edit the sketch digitally just to like move the position of the characters, because I originally had them stood further apart, but I kind of wanted them to like come in a bit closer because there was just too much empty space. I've been meaning to draw Bede for a while, but I never got around to finishing a picture of him, so that's what I decided to do for this video. So anyway, Sword and Shield. They're games. They exist. I played them. So let's spend the next chunk of this video talking about my experience and opinions on them, and the currently available expansion, but I'll probably end up talking about Bede a bunch, because he's my favourite. So first off, my overall opinion of Sword and Shield was positive. I really enjoyed them, and pretty much all criticisms I do have are just nitpicks or my personal preferences. And I'll get this out the way now. I was upset about the National Dex thing, but it seems like they are adding all the Pokemon back over the expansions, or at least most of them. Hopefully we'll have them all back in eventually, because I really want all my shinies together, but it's not as big of a deal as people make it out to be. I don't think it's a good move on their part to never have all the Pokemon in a game together ever again, but starting out with about half and slowly adding old ones back in is fine, and I don't have a huge issue with it. Of course, I don't know how many are still going to be left out. I'm really hoping that eventually they all will be back in, but I'm actually not sure what the plan is on that. By the sounds of things, we're still going to be missing maybe 200 or 300 by the time the expansions are done. What might be nice is to add some sort of Pokemon and Me or camp feature to home so that you can have like interactions with all of your Pokemon there, even if they can't be added to the current games. I know it's all complicated and takes a lot of work, but there's definitely some viable options that would please the majority of people. So anyway, I played Shield first since Gary was playing Sword. I didn't really care too much about playing one version over the other. I played them both anyway, I just had to decide which one to play first. I think the main version difference that I cared about was having Bee or Alistair as a gym leader, but only because I love both options. I really like Bee's design and, you know, she's called Bee. Of course I'm gonna like the character with the same name as me. Then there's Alistair, who is a precious spoopy cinnamon roll, and I love him, and I want to adopt him. It's really a shame they aren't seen together in the games because a lot of people draw really cute fan art of them being like siblings, with Alistair being really shy and Bee being like the protective big sister and make sure no one's picking on him. It's adorable. I think a lot of characters in Sword and Shield were really interesting and fun. I like most of the gym leaders, but my favourite is of course Bede. Fun fact about Bede, his name comes from beetroot. A lot of the characters in Sword and Shield are named after food for some reason. The name fits him well considering his coat is beetroot coloured, and the whole thing he has going on with Pink, you know, Opal's like, oh, pink, 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 and he has some dialogue in the final part of the game where he's like, I'll show you an amazing pink or something. That makes a lot of sense too, because if you've ever had beetroot, you'll know that it stains pretty much everything fluorescent pink. It actually brought back a really weird childhood memory when I found this out about him, because I have a very distinct memory of a period of time when the only thing I would eat for lunch was beetroot sandwiches. Well, technically baguettes. I was a picky child, and now I'm a picky adult. And I don't really like sandwiches, so usually I have like mini baguettes or bagels or something. So as a child, I don't even remember how old I was, maybe like 10, I would have mini baguettes with nothing but beetroot on them. I'm not sure how my mum let me eat that for so long, because that doesn't seem super balanced. And my mum is pretty obsessed with healthy eating and stuff since she's a nurse. I don't even know how I decided it was a good food to eat, because beetroots are disgusting. Yeah, I bought a jar of beetroots and made a beetroot baguette and ate it on stream, and it was bad. Pretty sure young me only liked it because it stained the bread pink. Maybe young me actually just did what I ended up doing on stream, which was pick off the beetroots and eat the pink bread. Anyway, back to Bede. Now, I did not pay enough attention to the trailers to know that Bede was a guy, so I spent the first part of the game questioning his gender and being too confused to decide what I thought of him. He's definitely the smug and like jerk kind of rival that people have been asking for ages. I never cared too much about having that kind of rival, and a lot of people want this kind of rival because they want someone they don't like so they feel more satisfied when they beat them. But for me, playing as an adult, I don't think I get that kind of satisfaction because the rivals are all kids. And when a kid is a jerk, I'm probably gonna assume that they're troubled or something, which is definitely the case with Bede. His general like demeanor and stuff kind of reminds me a bit of like my main Pokemon OC, Robin. So it's not a behavior that would instantly make me dislike him. But tossing all that aside, he had a Hatterene, which meant as soon as we finished our first battle, I could check where to get one in the Pokedex. And so I loved him from the start, basically. Hatterene was my favorite Gen 8 Pokemon at first, and I still really like her. I did end up liking Morgrem a bit more in the end, though. I don't care much for Impidimp or Grimmsnarl. I'm just obsessed with Morgrem. He's like a cute little gremlin boy. He's like that type of cute where it's actually objectively really ugly, but somehow that makes it cute. Also, Morgrem, and I mean its whole line, but you know, I'm only gonna focus on Morgrem. It's a fairy dark type, which was literally the combo of types I wanted to see the most. So, yeah. I obviously have a bit of a fairy thing going on. It's kind of funny because I didn't like the fairy type when it was first introduced, but that was kind of because I'd just come out of my like stupid little phase of not liking Pokemon because it wasn't cool or whatever, and I got bored of it or something. I don't remember. Probably because my brother didn't like it anymore, and you know, when you're like 10, 11 years old, whatever your brother says makes sense, I guess. My teams for my first and second playthrough were horribly unbalanced because I tend to like the fairy, psychic, and like ghost types, all the very whimsical stuff. Speaking of fairies, and considering the subject of this artwork is Bede, let's talk about another character who uses fairy types. Opal. I really like Opal. She's wacky and fun, plus she's named after the gemstone that I have on my engagement ring, so that's fun. She's just kind of that one old person who likes messing with everyone because they're too old to take anything seriously. But she does obviously care about people, and Bede especially, she takes under her wing and gives him like a new purpose. I get the impression from Bede's dialogue that he thinks she's a little crazy and like pushes him out of his comfort zone, but he does like look up to her and respects her and feels accomplished becoming stronger than her and taking his place as the new fairy gym leader. So she's an all-around great character who's a little eccentric but very likable. However, there is one factor in my playthrough that very much made Opal stand out as very creepy. And I don't mean that one cutscene with her running at Bede. That was a little weird, but it was funny, and everyone experienced that in their playthrough. This is something only I experienced. I did my first playthrough alongside my husband, Gary, and for some completely unexplained reason, Gary decided that Opal, and only Opal, was getting a voice. So every time she came on screen, I had to listen to Gary reading her dialogue in the voice of a dirty old man. Why did you do this to me, Gary? So for putting me through that, he is now obligated to repeat that for this video, so you can all share my suffering. I'll chuck that at the end of the video after the outro, so be sure to stick around for that if you want to forever hear that voice in your head every time you see Opal. I'm gonna start doing that sort of thing at the end of my videos a bit more, like some sort of audio blooper or something right at the end after the outro. They'll probably range in length too, but I figured it'd be a fun way to end my video instead of just the generic outro and then fading to black like I used to do. Anyway, back to my thoughts on the characters. Of course I like Bede, but what about the other rivals? Hop is great. stop hating on him. He had a good story and good development, and he's not just another generic friendly rival. His flesh-coloured teeth are a bit weird, but other than that, he's all good. Then we've got Marnie. She's fine, I guess. I don't really have a problem with her, it's just that my experience with the game probably wouldn't have changed much if she wasn't there, because Marnie is boring. I get it, she's a cute goth girl, but she's boring. She's so boring. The only interesting part of her is her fans, Team Yell, and I'm not crazy on them either. They were okay, but felt like a less fun Team Skull. Actually, let's talk about the actual story a bit, because it was garbage. I know I said my overall opinion on the games was positive, but that was more down to the region and the characters and their personalities and features and stuff. I'd actually really like a Pokemon game where I'm not required to save the world. I did like that throughout the main game, you had like little conflicts that weren't really a big deal. Meanwhile, Leon dealt with the big stuff as he should, because he's the champion. He's the strongest person in the region. He should probably be the one dealing with it, not a 10-year-old. But this kinda made the story suffer a bit because you just get thrown into the big conflict at the end. And it was really badly timed and absolutely my least favorite part of the game. Because I got really hyped for the league and I just wanted to do the battles and become the champion and whatever. But then Rose decided he wanted me to spend like 30 minutes dealing with his stupid annoying thing. The big evil plot stuff usually happens before you get to the last gym. And it's nice to have some variation, but considering how unfun that part of the game was, it was just a very unwelcome interruption. Plus, I've played these games like 5 times at least, and watched other people play them, and I still have no idea what Rose's goal was. It just seems so vague and so uninteresting and doesn't make any sense. Like, he wants to do something with saving the future or something, like, cause there's a thing and in 1,000 years, like, I don't know, they were gonna run out of energy or something. I didn't pay attention, it was boring. Every time it was boring. So, like, he's trying to do something that's to stop a thing or help with something or do something that's 1,000 years away, but for some reason he can't put off his plans for one day. And he doesn't give, like, a logical reason for that. He's just like, nah, mate, I can't wait another day. Leon even says he'll help with his plans after the champion match, and he can't just accept that and wait a day. I'm pretty sure Leon isn't even obligated to help with that stuff, but he still says he will. Tomorrow, or whenever. I don't think it's tomorrow in the game, because I think it's like the day after, because they do whatever. The villains in Pokemon usually have goals that you need to stop because they're doing bad things and hurting people. Rose is just impatient. Like, from what I gathered, in essence, his goal wasn't bad, and he wasn't hurting a lot of people. The only person I can think he was hurting was, like, he was manipulating Bede to help him, like, collecting the wishing stars and stuff. But yeah, I just don't really like Rose. It's a combination of, like, how he treated Bede and how vague and stupid and poorly executed his plan is. Anyway, my main point here is they don't have to put evil teams and world-ending plots in every new game. I could just become a Pokemon champion and be happy with that. I know it's kind of like part of the Pokemon formula at this point, but they could mix it up. It's a creature collecting game. I don't need a villain or even a rival. I don't have either of those things when I'm shiny hunting, which is something I spend far more time on than I do playing the story. I'd actually really like to see a Pokemon game with more side goals and like other paths besides just becoming champion. Pokemon tends to be very linear, but imagine a Pokemon game where you could beat the game by doing something else. Like, you could train to become a gym leader using a specific type, or become a contest star if they brought stuff like that back. Maybe have other paths to choose, like becoming a breeder or something. Some of this stuff is in the games, but more of a side mode than something that can actually be the main gameplay. Like, you don't beat the game by becoming a breeder. It just sort of supplements what you're already doing. They could have different goals that have little challenges you have to complete to succeed, and you'd still be traveling the region, but you'd be able to complete the game and, you know, see the credits and everything for doing something other than becoming the champion. Okay, so for example, to become a gym leader, you'd obviously be limited to the type that you chose. You'd still be allowed to catch other things, but battles within the gym limit you to your chosen type. You'd have to build multiple teams and be able to choose appropriately leveled teams to match your opponent. Like in the anime, they imply that gym leaders don't just use their strongest, they match their Pokemon to the level of the trainer based on the number of badges they have. Which would also be interesting for future games to have a non-linear game and you can beat the gyms in any order, but they'll be at different levels depending on when you choose to fight them. I know that might make it a bit more difficult to write the story, but it definitely feels like a route that the games could take in the future. Anyway, this is too long of a ramble about my ideas for a Pokemon game. Should I do a whole video about that? Maybe if I get some more people in my Discord, we could like all discuss ideas and then make something like that together, like our idea for like the perfect Pokemon game, or just like a really interesting spin on what a Pokemon game is. So back to Sword and Shield. Let's talk about raids. I really like the addition of raids because they brought out a lot of like generosity in people, sharing raids with shinies or Gmaxes. Some of the mechanics of raids are annoying, and the NPCs are complete trash, but the concept is really good, and I've had fun hosting some shiny raids on stream. Very chaotic, but a lot of fun. And of course, as a shiny hunter, I want to discuss the new shiny hunting methods. I actually found myself doing a lot of Masuda method hunts. There's just a lot of quality of life features in Sword and Shield, particularly being able to access the PC from almost anywhere, making this method way less clunky than it used to be. As for the encounter method, I don't know if there's a specific name for it. I haven't used it much, and I found I didn't like it as much. It's not terrible, but maybe a little too basic? I'm not really sure what my problem with it is. I guess Masuda just feels faster to me. Maybe I just like doing the hunts in batches. There's also the more recent addition of limited time den events with a specific Pokemon having a high shiny chance. I think those are pretty fun. Overall, can't complain too much about shiny hunting. It would be nice to have shinies in the overworld like in Let's Go, and I'm kind of annoyed the starters are shiny locked, so you can't soft reset for them. But the shiny sparkles look great, and it's fun to have two types of them now. My first shiny in Sword and Shield was a random encounter Pumpkaboo, so I saw the square sparkles first, since they're the more common one for wild encounters. I really like them a lot, I think they look really great. I like the stars as well. Definitely a big improvement on the Gen 7 shiny sparkles, they were terrible. I think earlier gens do really well on shiny sparkles. I think all the games from, you know, Gen 2 onwards, shiny sparkles look good in all of them. They're all a little different, but all good. And then for some reason Gen 7 just decided to just stick a star on it, and I hated it. It's still shiny hunted, but the actual sparkle was just not good. So I was really relieved that they have a good one in the new gen, and they got two good ones, so can't really complain. Anyway, I'm really aware that this video is already way too long. So let's just talk a bit about the Isle of Armor before I wrap up. Firstly, very weird to me that the American spelling of Armor is used, considering Galar is based on the UK, but whatever. I don't think I've even mentioned this point yet, but like, Galar was kind of cool for me because I'm from England, so having a region based on my country was pretty cool. I got excited over really dumb stuff, like some of the like bins look like really like British bins. I never thought I could get excited over a bin. I was actually a little disappointed when they announced the expansions, because I was actually really hoping for a Sword and Shield 2 or something. Something that's like similar, but set after the events of Sword and Shield with an updated story and having the rivals in their new positions and everything. Because I really liked the characters in these games, and I wanted to know more about them and see what happens to them next. The gym leaders do appear in certain locations on the Isle of Armor on different days and say a couple bits of dialogue. And there's the whole part you do with Hop. But I was just hoping for a bit more from them instead of mostly new characters. I'm not even going to talk about Avery. All you need to know is that I hate him. I'm really hoping we get more from the gym leaders in the next expansion. The Isle of Armor was fine, and I'd say it was worth buying. Probably not worth buying on both games though. I got it for Shield, and the only reason I might get the expansion pass for Sword as well is if I need both versions to shiny hunt new legendaries. But my guess is that they'll be shiny locked anyway. Also, I didn't really know what to expect going into the expansion. After playing it, my guess is that they intended to make it for people who beat the main game and then just stopped playing, because the levels are all around 60. I didn't know that was going to be the levels, and I didn't want to come across any spoilers or anything, so I just went in with a couple level 100s and a freshly hatched shiny Galarian Slowpoke. I ended up catching a couple other Pokemon with the intention to make a new team for the expansion, but I really didn't feel motivated to use them. Overall, I think the expansions are a fun idea and worth the money, but I still want Sword and Shield too. Also, I'm realizing just now that through all my scramble of script writing, I didn't even mention the post-game. I feel like the post-game should have been the main story, honestly. Like if they integrated it and changed it up a bit. I don't know. There's a lot of things I have not mentioned in this video because I did a very poor job of making the script. I think I covered all the main stuff though. Anyway, let's wrap this up with a few of my thoughts on the picture I drew for this video. The style I used for this picture is what I've been using for a while, with the very round heads and massive eyes. I think it's a cute style, but having the head so big really limits how I can draw the characters interacting, so I rarely draw more than one character in a picture. I definitely want to change that because lately I've been experimenting with like standalone little cute and funny comics with my characters, animatics, and other basic animation type stuff. Hopefully more of that type of stuff will make its way onto my channel in the future, but it's all still very new right now, so I'll have to see what sticks. So anyway, I've been working on changing up my style, so you'll probably see it bounce around a bit over my next few videos as I get used to drawing in the new style and keeping it consistent. I have pretty much figured out the actual drawing style, and it's not completely different. It still has a lot of elements of my current style, but the heads have a bit more of a realistic shape with more of a chin, and the eyes are a bit smaller. Still a very cutesy style, just with proportions that are maybe a little more anime. Definitely still more chibified than anime, but kind of veering a bit more towards it. If you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, you might have already seen some recent art in the new style. So that is more or less figured out, but what I'm stuck on is coloring. There are so many different ways to color, and it's so difficult to pick a style that I want to go for. Obviously I want something that matches the style of my drawings, and preferably I'd like something soft and fairly simple that can just look clean and pretty. I used to make character designs and things very complicated with lots of small details, but I'm veering more towards a simpler style that's more suitable for comics, animatics, and things like that I mentioned, and just being able to draw them more in general is nice. It also forces me to try and make a unique design without just adding a bunch of extra details, like actually working with the design and trying to create something unique while keeping it simple. I think it's been difficult to find my coloring style because the two main characters I draw are my OCs, Robin and Echo, which are my Gallade and my Shiny Morgrem, and they do not have the easiest color schemes to work with. I have been trying to draw more just regular Pokemon and sometimes random characters, like I drew Princess Daisy, just to practice with other color schemes. It's still been pretty tough though. The coloring style I used for this picture isn't what I want to stick with. I like it for this picture, it's fine, but not the kind of aesthetic I'm looking for. I think what I want is a sort of like watercolor-esque style with very pale and desaturated colors. I'm a big fan of art that's more soft and muted. I'll show an example on screen of like whatever recent picture of mine I like the most when I'm editing this video, so you can see the style I have in mind. Of course, that's just digital art. I still have to figure out my traditional art. Like I said earlier, I have Copics now, and I really like them, but I do find the colors way too dark. I've seen really amazing Copic art that is very soft and very like pastel, so I know it's possible to use them for the style I want. The problem is mostly just that I bought a set to get better value for money since Copics are crazy expensive. So the set gave me 72 colors, but only some of them are pale and desaturated. They all still have their uses, as I will use those kind of colors for some smaller areas of my pictures. Sometimes it's nice to have like a more bold detail if most of the picture is more desaturated and light. But I think to get the style I really want, I need to individually buy another bunch of Copics in specific colors that work better for my preferences. Another thing I could try is thinning out the inks with more alcohol so the colors become lighter. I've only heard one person suggest this though, and Copics are a bit too expensive for me to experiment with like that before doing a lot more research. Anyway, I think that's about everything I wanted to talk about in this video, believe it or not. I made some changes to my socials since the last video, basically just stopped using some of them because there's too many for me to keep track of, and that ends up being another factor in me not posting art and videos anymore, because I have to stress about posting everywhere and staying consistent. I'll link all the ones I still use in the description, but the main thing to know is that if you want to see every sketch, doodle, and finished artwork, and read all my random thoughts, whatever I feel like tweeting, Twitter has all of that. But if you're only interested in the finished artwork, then I treat Instagram more like a portfolio and only post the finished stuff and the stuff that's like good. Well, good until like a week later when I've improved enough that I've already decided that the last picture I posted is garbage. I've actually been improving so fast with my digital art that by the time I get to posting a picture, I already think it's bad. I mean, it's great, it means I'm improving. So yeah. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you're interested. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff if you want to see more from me. Feel free to leave video suggestions and all that good stuff in the comments if you have any ideas. Thanks for watching, and I'm bad at ending videos. I somehow went this whole video where I was drawing a picture of Bede and, you know, talking about Sword and Shield and a lot about Bede specifically. And I didn't mention that I have, like, the shirt he wears when he's in the fairy gym. Like, I have that as, like, a tunic top thing. So I'll put that on screen right now. Anyway, Gary, the mic is yours.
Don't like that. Don't like that at all. That boy. Now that's what I call pink. I like it. Time for my gym mission, child. Pink. Pink. And more pink. Congratulations, child. Don't look at me like that. Get lost.
Are we done?
You're done.
Cool.